assignment that's unrelated to what you do now?
Yes, I was on the road for several years. Every trooper starts on the road, learned basic law enforcement, started in Port Nars, transferred to Bridgeton Station, was there ultimately until I got to my present assignment.
Okay. And your present assignment in the K9 context started when?
I interviewed and got selected to go to K9 in 2013. Initially went to the K9 South Squad, or you just apprised of regions, North, Central, South, and a training academy.
Okay, you know Luke Wilson or Owen Wilson, the one with the blonde hair that's got the kind of screwy nose? That's who he reminds me of. I just can't remember if it's Luke or Owen Wilson. They're both cutie patooties, so... But I can't remember names to save my life. So the blonde one with the kind of, well, obviously broken nose.
I worked the South Squad for from 2013 to approximately early 2022. I was then transferred to the training academy where my primary assignment is now, training canines.
Okay. Now, I just want to, Coach, I want to show you what the mark is, S435. Just going to show you what the mark is, S435. Do you recognize that, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
It's a basic outline of my K9 career resume for my one specialty of human remains detection, specifically cadaver.
Does that resume, does it delineate dogs that you've had, related to your patrol?
Yes, in the K9 unit, many of us have multiple canines. I started with just one K9, one specifically. I have two currently, different disciplines. This resume in particular is for human remains detection or cadaver. I've worked that since I came to K9 in 2013.
Now, does that resume, does it ultimately document some of the uses of the K9 for cadaver detection?
Yes, there's a brief history of my experience and background, including what partners I've been assigned, jobs that he's been on, training, successes.
Okay. Now, with respect to this particular incident, can you tell us the name of the dog that, or the K9 that you were utilizing at the time?
K9 Creed is my first partner.
Okay. And your first partner was at approximately 2013?
I got him, yes, end of would have been August timeframe, July of 2013. We went through initial training, which was patrol class, and then followed by his scent discipline, which was cadaver. Finished that up in June of 2014.
How long is that scent discipline, the cadaver training?
Cadaver specifically?
Sure.
That was scent class. I went through Bergen County Training Academy. It was 10 weeks, approximately over 400 hours of training. Various different types of environments pertaining to that specific odor. You want me to detail that?
Well, you mentioned that part of the training was different environments, correct?
That's correct.
What types of environments are we talking about?
When I say HRD, it's human remains detection. These are my questions. HRD doll specifically could be almost any environment, from outside, indoor building, collapsed structures, fire scenes, individual rooms, vehicles, natural accidents,
boats, water,
boat, basically anywhere where there could be injury or trauma to a human being.
Okay. And can you tell us about, based upon your experience at that academy, how you go about training the K9, in this case Creed, to be able to delineate the odor of human remains?
Yeah.
He's trained on just that, human remains. It starts with the imprinting process. We imprint the dog on the odor.
Okay. Now, again, not trying to ask stupid questions, but where does one get a steady supply of human remains to imprint on a dog?
Teach them how to find that specific odor. Then over the course of the 400 hours and 10 weeks, we do multiple different levels of the odor. Threshold, i.e. being threshold meaning all the way down to a small drop of blood to a whole human being in varying environments. Fire scenes, collapsed structures, collapsed under debris, underwater, from drowning victims, you name it. All different levels of that decomp. Could be fresh, could be years old. It just depends on the different scenario that you presented, but the dog's trained on all facets of that.
And ultimately, is there any sort of certification or testing procedure that happens during that scent academy?
At the completion of the class, yes, you're certified, and then we're required to do AG, Attorney General guidelines, determines K9 guidelines in New Jersey. We have to do a minimum of 6 trainings a year, 2 biannual recertifications, so twice a year you're being recertified in that particular odor. Additionally, on here, the USPCA Scent Trials is an outside entity, K9 certification. You go through that trial, you get an outside entity, certify the team as well. Just another way of saying the dog knows the odor.
Now, was there a point in time, specifically in November, particularly November, I think it was the 20th of 2018, where you became aware of an incident in Monmouth County?
Yes.
Okay. Was there a point within the coming days when you were contacted with by somebody from the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office in order to potentially deploy Creed at a particular location?
If I recall, it was the night prior I was requested to come assist at the day that you noted.
Now, did you ultimately, as part of this case, did you ultimately respond to a location in Ocean Township, New Jersey?
Yes.
Did you recall the address?
I'll say if you have my report, I have.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as S436.
Look, this officer and K9 Creed have been super de-duper busy. He can't remember all the searches he's been on.
For identification.
Thank you.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, sir. It's my report that I wrote after the incident.
And if you looked at the top of the report and read it to yourself, would it refresh your recollection as to the address
Yes.
you initially responded to?
27 Tilton Drive.
Okay. Now, to be clear, your response to 27 Tilton Drive, was that the first location that Creed was utilized for purposes of this investigation?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you responded there, did you meet with personnel from the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office?
That's correct.
And was there a point in time when you were specifically asked to deploy Creed in a particular location outside of the home?
Yeah, that day I deployed to multiple locations. That being the first one, it was just all was related to me was they had a suspicious fire, suspected possible criminal in nature, and just asked me to assist finding any evidence that could assist the case at multiple different locations. Do you want me to go through?
So specifically, I'm going to ask you about a vehicle that was located in the driveway of 27 Tilton Drive. Do you recall making observations of the vehicle there?
Yes.
Okay. And does your report indicate the actual specifics of the vehicle?
Yes.
Will that refresh your recollection?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Tilton Drive. That was the first place I went. Ultimately, I was asked to use my partner to search the vehicle, the exterior of the property, and the interior of the property. I started with the vehicle first, which would be a white Porsche, New Jersey registration, Delta Charlie Juliet 3105.
Now,
Probably.
how do you go about or prepare a Creed in order to deploy him in a vehicle like this one on that day?
Day over, you're referencing training.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should be more specific. You bring the dog to that location.
Oh, for the search.
Yeah, for the search.
Understood.
That white Porsche Macan. How do you actually deploy Creed there?
Yep. First thing I do is I gathered all the information like we spoke. I then do a quick safety walk, mainly just to make sure it's
Okay, usually I'm a fan of K9 officers, but now I have legitimate Creed in my head, and there is only so much, can we go there? Can we make our escape? Look, I just can't have this song in my head anymore.
safe to deploy my partner. He's not going to injure himself. After that, I typically standard 5-foot lead, unless I need a long lead, job specific. I put an orange vest on him. It's just a visible orange vest that he uses just when he's working.
Okay. And ultimately, where does he start with respect to that vehicle on this date? I think it's November 23rd of 2018.
Yep, on this date, I decided to do the exterior first. Exterior sniff is just me detailing the vehicle as I go around. Once I do the exterior, then I proceed to the interior of the vehicle.
Now, did you ultimately run Creed around or let him run himself around the outside of the Macan?
Yes, I did the outside of the vehicle without any changes in behavior, anything from getting from the dog that I noted of importance. Then I opened, reference my report, I believe it was the passenger door.
Okay. Slight demotion on the Silver Fox. He both moves his mouth to read and has to do this with his head. That might not be demotion points for everyone else, but it is for me. Which is really a moot point since I'm married and I don't live in New Jersey.
Passenger side front door. Let him do the interior of the vehicle. I did that off lead. Reason being, obviously, the lead would just prevent him as I'm standing outside from doing his job. Once he finished the passenger compartment of the vehicle, the front seats, back seats, anything he can get to and pull him out. Then we went to the rear of the vehicle. I opened the rear cargo hatch and deployed him inside of there.
Now, just to be clear, it might be obvious, but just to be clear, what's the difference between on lead and off lead?
On lead is controlled. I can, depending on how long the lead is, I control where he goes and I detail him. I prefer off lead as much as possible just because it allows the K9 to work without me interfering with what he's doing. And ultimately, my job is just to read his behavior and observe what he's doing during the searches. There's a multitude of different things I'm looking for in his behavior when he's doing his job. So that's strictly all it is, on lead, off lead.
When you talk about there's a multitude of things that you're looking for, is that based upon your and Creed's training and experience?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what types of things are you looking for when Creed is actually deployed?
Biggest thing you look for is most commonly that the general public knows is what we call the final train response or final alert. In his case, he was an aggressive alert, meaning he'll scratch. It's the least important thing out of everything he displays to me. Not that it's not important, I don't want to take that out of context, it just means the least important in the steps of it. When he's searching the dog as they're trained during his 400 hours and 10 weeks of training, he has multiple days on the odor and being rewarded for finding that particular odor. So when a dog gets an odor of something he knows he's going to be rewarded for, the endorphins, everything in his brain start to drop, and he has physiological changes that he can't hide. And you guys have pets, think about, you get a treat, or your toy is favorite or whatever it is, they get excited, right? It's no different here. He starts getting an odor of what he's trained and imprinted on. There's things he can't hide. His tail starts wagging. First thing dogs do is they close their mouth because they pant when they're working. When they start taking the odor through their nose, the first thing they do is close their mouth because they're taking all available odor through their nose because they're trying to differentiate what they're smelling. That's called they do shallow breaths. It gets real fast, rather than when they get excited. Another thing they do, the tail wag. They start bracketing. Head spin when they go by on odor. All those physiological changes a dog cannot fake. They can't make it up. It's not nothing they can control because the endorphins are now taking over. In their mind, they're getting close to their reward. So that's the order of things that I'm looking for as a handler. Dog may be interested in something, he'll move on. If it's an odor he's trained on, he's trained to go to source, and he'll follow all the way as close as he can get to source before you'll ever see that final or trained response. Does that answer your question?
Certainly. Now, you deployed him, I think you said next, into the rear cargo area of Bush Macon. And what, if any, behavioral changes did you observe at that point in time?
No, I think we need to get K9 Creed here and he can answer the questions. Do we have a body cam of K9 Creed doing his stuff? I'd really just like to see the puppy work and humans be damned. I'm just kidding. But it would be cool to see a video, of him pointing out Paul's, complete guilt.
We'll reference the report again if that's okay. I put him through the rear cargo door area. Reason being is he just couldn't get to the back cargo area when he was inside on his own. Immediately he began to exhibit behavioral changes indicating the presence of fetal remains. Specifically, the breathing changes I just described: open to closed mouth, rapid and shallow breaths with his nose, stop moving suddenly, and deeply inhaled with his tail wagging profusely. It's indicative of physiological changes he exhibits from the presence of human remains. Creed then began scratching at the cargo floor on the driver's side of the vehicle, a spot in which he had pressed his nose while deeply inhaling. I noted at the crime scene. That in itself just told me the dog was an odor of some form of human remains. It could be anything from fluid, blood, just odor there. My job at that point is to turn it over to crime scene, to just know what the dog located.
Now, based upon your training and experience with Creed in particular, can the odor be enough? Like just odor as opposed to something physical like blood or some sort of stain or...
Yes. We call it transfer odor.
Now, based upon Creed's actions and physiological changes in the driveway of 27 Tilton, did you relay those observations or what they meant to you to the other detectives that were there?
Yep.
Now, was there a point...
So I would like to see studies at what point a human body starts giving off the smell of death. I'm not calling BS or anything like that. I just want to know how quickly, because again, this would have been as Paul was leaving the house if he had contact with any of the bodies, which I think he did. We can safely say, it being a knife attack for some of them, that there was close contact. But I would think that the dog would pick up blood, not maybe the scent of death. JKD Buck, he is a K9 officer who was dispatched to Paul's house and apparently picked up the scent of death inside Paul's car. They wouldn't arrest criminals. They would negotiate with criminals. Never mind. My cats cannot be trusted. They would allow, people to bribe them.
Point in time that you decided to deploy Creed to a different part of the property outside?
At the conclusion of the vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah, once we finished with the vehicle, we proceeded to the rear yard of the property. I did awfully search the backyard, shed, and back deck area. With the goal being I wanted to finish the exterior of the property before I moved inside.
Were there any physiological changes that you observed from Creed in the rear yard of the property?
Nothing outside, no further negative.
Now, at that point in time, did you proceed to enter the actual structure inside of 27 Tilton?
Yes, sir. We proceeded to the front door of the residence where I was going to start my search of the interior.
Now, searching a house like that, is that something that you would do, you agree would do the same way every time, or does it depend on a variety of factors?
The environment dictates the layout of the house, damage in this case.
I figured there were probably some chemical changes that happened right away that the dogs could be more sensitive to, and I'm guessing that they could smell those precursor kind of smells or that kind of thing. So I have no doubt I probably would need to research it more, but there you go.
But I do it systematically floor by floor. I'll search a room the same way, but in the order that I do it, based on also debris and change. But each particular floor, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same. I come up with a plan where I ensure that I get adequate coverage of everything inside now.
Okay, you referenced damage, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was there damage that, even before you went in, that you were made aware of?
I obviously knew it was a fire scene, which changes things a little bit because obviously safety for the dog. In this instance, my goal was I'm going to do everything that was easier for him to traverse and then end where the damaged area.
Had Creed ever been deployed in a home that had suffered fire damage?
Absolutely, yes.
Now, can you just tell us generally, or specifically how, excuse me, how you deployed Creed at 27 Tilden interior?
Yep. So first thing I did was go to the front door. Prior to even starting, I observed what appeared to be what appeared to be a blood smear on the wood trim of the front door. I noted that to crime scene, let them do their thing. Once we proceeded, I then deployed Creed for an off-lead search of the interior of the residence. Again, preferably off-lead, just because it allowed him to work on his own, unimpeded by me holding him up with a lead. We did the first floor. I just assisted detailing. What I mean by detailing is I let the dog go into a search. If I feel like there's somewhere he didn't get to, I will go in and actually detail, just direct him to areas. I do this to ensure adequate coverage that he didn't miss anything within a particular room and or building. We did the first floor. Then we proceeded to the second floor. I ended up doing all the bedrooms and the bathrooms. I made a note that the master bedroom and bathroom sustained minor damage as a result of the fire. Completed the search of the second floor without any changes in behavior. Then I proceeded to back down the first floor to end at the basement.
Okay, so do you recall how you actually, entered and deployed Creed into the basement?
Yes.
How was that?
Stopped at the top of the basement steps. Obviously knew that there was debris down there just from what I could see. At the top of the steps, set him down off lead on the steps. Reason being, let him go down, do his thing. I can kind of watch, and then I followed him down once he got started.
Okay. Now, do you recall where Creed went upon kind of getting to the bottom of the basement stairs and into the basement?
Yep. Yes, sir. Immediately began searching the rubble in the southeast corner of the basement, which is the heaviest damaged area. He went there on his own first.
Okay. And did you follow him there?
Yeah, yes, sir. I could see him from where I was at, and then I proceeded to him, yes.
Okay. And what, if any, observations did you see within Creed's behavior?
Again, I noted in my report it was what was perceived to be the origin of the fire. He immediately began behavioral changes indicating the presence of human remains. And I'll repeat them for you guys. It was the breathing change, open to closed mouth, rapid and shallow breaths. While there was rapidly bracketing the pile. What I mean by bracketing, when a K9 gets an odor, they will work it. And bracketing, like if if the wind was blowing in my face here and your odor was coming from that wall, the dog's going to get to the edge of the odor cone, go back to the other edge of the cone, and they're going to keep bracketing back and forth until they get the source. And you should see that get smaller and smaller. He was bracketing the pile of debris. When they're trying to get to source, and you have if there's odor under my hat, you might see a dog kind of circle it. And they're trying to find other avenues in to get all the way to that source. That's another form of bracketing. He did that on the debris. He then buried his head into the debris, pulled it out, and began scratching at the pile. His final trained alert, as I said to you guys earlier, is a scratch. That was indicating to me that he has got as close as he could get to source or was on source of that odor.
Now, for those of you, since we have had a really long day today, if you remember, the debris pile contained clothing and jeans that had suspected blood stain and other fluids on them. So we have seen those items of clothes. We have not had the lab tech person to explain what they tested and what they found yet.
At that final alert, that's his final alert to source of human remains. As a result, Detective Catalona started sifting through the debris where he alerting. It was a mess, fire debris mess. It was kind of all melted together, fire debris, if you can imagine, and the water has kind of frozen. You would keep describing that, sir, before I go?
No, I just want to show you what's been marked as S1. It's A, slide 111. Let me show you. Slide 111.
Yes, sir.
Recognize what that depicts?
Yes, sir, basement.
Okay. Is that the area that Creed ultimately detected the presence of human remains? Is that depicted in that photograph?
Yes, sir. So specifically remember all the feathers from a pillow or whatever that had been.
I just published slide 111. photo that's on the screen, is that the photo I just showed you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, could you just, there's a little pen up there, stylus, should be in front of you.
Okay.
Could you just kind of circle the area based upon your observations of where Creed was ultimately showing those signs of interest?
Yes, sir. I just touched the screen.
Yes, you can.
Sorry, I'm a dog guy. I just know it's this generalized area. I remember the feathers, where exactly in that pile, but I remember the feathers specifically. He was bracketing this whole pile. You can continue.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to further explain this one.
No, at that point, I noted it's a crime scene detective. We started sifting through, and ultimately what he was alerting, we found a piece of a plastic container. Again, it was all melted together from the heat and frozen with the water from the firefighters putting the fire out. The plastic container, we inserted a piece of plastic with a blanket and clothing within the burned rubble, which had melted and frozen together in the fire. It was determined the clothing appeared to be jeans with possible bloodstains on it. The Detective Callahan photographed and documented the area. I directed Creed to search the remainder of the basement, completed the remainder of it without any further changes in behavior. Can we keep going?
No, I think after the dog had indicated to that area, was there a point in time where the pile of debris was actually taken by Detective Catalone, I believe, somewhere else?
Yes, sir. I went back upstairs to the first floor with Creed. The only thing we had left was the garage. We completed that search of the residence. That way it was completely done. Search of the garage was completed without any changes in behavior. When I say without any change in behavior, so you guys understand, the behavior change like I described is what I'm watching. So when the dog doesn't respond at all, it tells me there's no odor available for him to smell in that particular area. We move on from that area. So we finished the garage. Detective Catalan and Trooper Kyle, who was there assisting me, they moved the pile of frozen and the debris in which he had earlier alerted into the garage would be analyzed further. There's two reasons. One, to analyze it further. Two, I wanted to bring Creed back down to the basement after we had that known odor, removed it to see if he would find anything else.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
What happened when you brought him down to the basement?
I'm sorry.
What happened once you brought him back down to the basement?
I brought Creed back. Well, we did the garage. I brought Creed back in the garage, released him for another off-lead search. Creed began searching the garage, clearing exterior walls. Again, we brought that known in. I did the entire room again. He did the walls, brought him back over to, after clearing the exterior walls, he approached the debris on the floor again and provided the same physiological alert as he did when he was downstairs. So at that time, pulled him off, got the same alerts I got before. In order to ensure that nothing of evidentiary value was missed, where we removed the debris, I brought Creed back in the basement and same with search the second time. He provided the same physiological alert, the same area of the basement that I have circled here. He was secured in my assigned troop car, and crime scene started doing their thing, analyzing the clothing further. In the basement, didn't surprise me, alerted again. So odor travels, especially at a fire scene like this. Odor will travel with water. It's melted. So that whole area may smell like odor. He's going to alert to it again. It didn't surprise me at all. At that time, crime scene decided they took over to see if there was anything else and any further evidence.
Now, what you just described about the actions at 27 Tilton, did that ultimately culminate after taking him back down to the basement?
I understand.
I'm sorry, once you took Creed back
Yes, sir.
down to the basement, was he done?
Oh, yes, at that specific address?
Yes.
Sir.
Now, I think just for purposes of understanding,
We're going to mark this as S1A, slide 111.1.
Your Honor, this time I have no further questions for the trooper.
Oh, please, let's see what the defense has to say. Come on, Ponytail lawyer.
So I thank you for sending Creed's resume. It looks like Creed is actually very good at locating human remains.
Yes, sir.
Or I just looking retired now. And I noticed that there were several instances you mentioned in the resume where Creed had alerted during the searches of vehicles. And that specifically, on May 11th of 2018, Creed alerted to the floor mat of a vehicle that he was searching, and that area was later confirmed to contain trace amounts of human blood.
What was that date, sir?
That was May 11th, 2018.
Are we really going through the K9 officer's resume? Also, blood does tend to accompany dead bodies.
Referencing the Newark Police Department investigating.
I am, yes.
Okay.
So it looks like that was an event that you referenced in the resume where Creed alerts to the floor mat of part of the carpet area, the driver's.
Yes, sir.
And then it's determined that Creed was actually right to look to that location because trace amounts of human blood were located there.
Yes, sir.
And then in March 20th of 2017, you were involved with the
So Creed did his job?
Missing Persons Unit and the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, it looks like. And once again, it was a vehicle search that Creed participated in, right?
Yes, sir.
And again, Creed alerted to a section of the vehicle's interior floor area, and it was determined that Creed was right again in the sense that there was the presence of blood determined to be in that location as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, obviously, you testified that there doesn't have to be blood for Creed to have alerted at scenes, and that the odor of the whatever it is that he's smelling can be enough. It doesn't have to be actual biological material, right?
Or it could be transfer odors. I'm guessing what you're asking.
Maybe. I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be actual biological material on a location for Creed to alert, right?
Well, it doesn't mean that there's not biological material there just because you can't see it.
Sure. I think.
No, witness, I need you to look down your nose more evidently. Did you see that? What the hell is this guy talking about? I am going to physically and literally look down my nose at him.
I think that the last two things we talked about are an example of that, right? Because in both of those situations, Creed alerted in a vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
And then it was later confirmed that the area where Creed alerted actually contained human blood, right?
Yes, sir.
Defense, where in the foggy, nebulous hell are you going with this? K9 officer's really good at finding dead people smell. So he's really, really good at finding really, really small amounts of dead people smell. And you say he alerted at my client's car? Again, I ask, is the defense a plant from the state? Did Paul's wife get him these lawyers?
And now, when we say it was later confirmed, obviously that's not really your role in an investigation. Creed alerts, other forensic law enforcement personnel come in afterwards, right?
He is legitimately making the argument that this man should not be testifying and get the dog on the scene. I was joking, you guys. I was joking that we should... This bailiff has seen too much. This bailiff is done.
Yes.
And they say, okay, Creed alerted here, we're going to look here, and we're going to see what we can find based on that alert, right?
Correct. It's a locating tool.
Right.
K9 is a locating tool.
Now, Creed, it sounds like, was trained to do this by some kind of conditioning, essentially, such that he gets or got a actual physiological response that he interpreted as positive when he smelled human.
Much like I'm trying to train you not to, and we have the perfect, not to be a twat waffle babbling by giving you, positive, negative reinforcement in that I'm not paying attention to most of your arguments. But much like Pavlov and his dogs, you seem to think that people like to hear you talk, so you continue to do it. You obviously aren't a good person at getting, subtle hints.
Remains. Do I have that right?
Yeah, there's a lot more to training, but yes, underlyingly, yes, he's rewarded for following the proper and correct.
Okay. So it's like, it's not as if we would imagine Creed sometimes would smell human remains and just not signal to you. Your understanding of the way Creed worked is that any time he smelled human remains, he would signal or express interest.
Correct. Which was a response he can't control.
Gotcha, because it's conditioned.
Correct.
Now, Creed goes to 27 Tilton with you. You search the entire first floor of 27 Tilton, right?
That's correct.
Creed doesn't alert anywhere on the first floor, right?
Correct.
He's taken everywhere that was available for him to go by yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
He went into the bathroom, correct?
Yes, sir.
Creed actually has been able to determine the odor of human remains coming from underwater, right? So Creed, also in your resume,
I like how the defense is completely ignoring that he found the smell of dead people in the basement and in the car. He's like,